Hello and welcome. We are live with session 2 of Clockwork Vines, Alstromeria Alley, and hello and welcome. Oh gosh, no. We are live.
Already off to a good start.
It always unmutes. I hate that. Hi, welcome. This is Honey. She's awesome. She's gonna be your keeper for today. She's keeper, not me.
Yep, my height is betraying me. Hello everyone. Now that you can see more than half of my face. I'm Honey, aka Honey and Dice. I will be your keeper this evening. That just means I'm the person responsible for turning the pages and asking people to roll dice as they work together to tell an amazing story in a setting that is basically the mirrorverse botanical steampunk world of 1880s Europe, the world in my head. Setting. That's the location. A couple of housekeeping things for people who are looking for captions. If I'm not mistaken, this channel actually can use the Twitch closed captioning. We're choosing to do that as opposed to web captioner tonight for different technical reasons and so on. So if you're looking for captions, that's where they're going to be at the bottom of the screen. Second of all, I am using Call of Cthulhu in basic role-playing, a hybrid of the two. We are not using the sanity mechanics component. Just a second. We are not using the sanity mechanics of traditional Call of Cthulhu because the way that they handle mental illness and so on, I feel is irresponsible and not really necessary for storytelling. Apparently, I do spooky enough stories for the characters and people to be disturbed without needing to do a check for it. I don't think they're scary, but okay. Also, you're going to see a lot of me asking for rolls that may not sound so traditional because we're using a roll under system. So when someone says they got a 2 or an 8, that's when you cheer in the chat. If they say that I've got anything above a 90, that's when you start, giving out consolation comments and being real supportive.
Press F to pay respects.
With that said, we're going to start out going to each person so they can tell you who they are and who they'll be playing. We'll do a brief recap and get into episode 2 of Clockwork Vines, Alstromeria Alley. Fun fact, we have a group 1 that plays on Sundays over on the, I'm going to mess this up again, Chromatic Chimera channel at 7 p.m. on Sundays. It's a different group of people, but they're playing in the same world. So things that they have done impact the group here and vice versa. So it does behoove you to watch both if you're trying to decide which you should be following. There's no spoilers on either one because I'm creative enough to come up with, disturbing things for both groups. With that said, we're going to go from person to person. Just briefly say who you are and who you'll be playing, and we'll get started. So we'll start with the individual known as They.
Okay, was expecting to go first. Hi everyone, I am Vey, Vey_D&D over on Twitter, and I will be playing the lovely Solomon Ross this evening and throughout this campaign.
Alrighty then, Jess.
Hey, that's me. I'm Miss_Just03 on Twitter and Angry Nerd Girl down in the chat right over here. And I'm playing Genevieve, or Jenny Framingham, owner of Framingham's Finest Fripperies, the most fantastic store in Alstromeria Alley. And I'm a bit dashed because my 2 dear companions, Princess Letitia, Elizabeth von Puddingspire, or Tisha, my dog, and my other fluffy companion, Potassium Honeydew, otherwise known as Tassie, have been left with an unknown person of sorts. But I'm sure they're quite all right.
Alrighty then. And we go to Brent.
Hello. My name is Brent Jans. You might also know me as Dork Lord Canada on the internets. I am playing Dr. William Lindsay, a physician from the University of Edinburgh, who is excited to have a community office in London, and is right now fascinated by the sewer we found ourselves in, and can't wait to see more.
Alrighty then. Margaret!
Hey everybody, I'm Margaret. You can find me on Twitter and here at Margaret Maynard. I will be playing Danina Crescent. She runs the Sweetbriar Apothecary here in town because she always liked plants and thought it'd be nice to turn that hobby into a bit of a profession. Not that she needs to.
Then we have our lovely and generous host, Eros.
Hi, I'm Eris Savad. You can find me at Eris_Savad on Twitter, Eris Savad everywhere else. And today I'm playing Lottie. Well, you know, Lottie's just a lovable scamp who happens to take a lot of odd jobs and finds things. Though last time she actually had to tell all of her employers about, you know, her kind of biggest secret, that she's you know, often travels to the underbelly of the city. Like we do. Yeah, so now we're downstairs.
And last but certainly not least, Chase.
Hey everybody, I'm Chase. You can find me on Twitter at DM_Draculi. You can also find the official Twitter for my new podcast at Direct Gods. Make sure you follow that if you're into bite-sized mythology stories. I will be playing Charles Remington V. I am a learned everyday gentleman who is the resident carpenter of the group. I'm a bit perplexed at my current situation because I was under the impression that this festival was going to be just as it was last year, and I have been proven very amusingly wrong thus far. So we'll see how that goes.
Alrighty then. And because I am being generous and kind today, because a lot happened last week and it takes people some time to get into the note taking, I will give a brief recap for people who have just tuned in for the first time. We met all of our investigators in a location called Alstromeria Alley. It's a special location in London where the people who usually don't have status in society or just need somewhere to stay safe, they know they can get there. It polices itself. It is the one safe location where, whether you are in the underworld or you love flowers or you are eclectic, it is 10 blocks surrounding a central marketplace called the Floral Marketplace, being very creative. And it is the location of the flower marketplace. Anyone who knows that they want to buy flowers in London, either for gardens or special events or so on, knows that they can go twice a year to this ginormous festival where pallets and booths full of flowers from all over the world are sold. And everyone in Alstromeria Alley works towards supporting this because most of the income that helps the local orphans home and other businesses or people who may be down on their luck, this is where all that income comes from. Well, on Flowers Eve, when everyone was working hard to build booths and stands and fix things and get together to eat a communal meal together, just so happy, things went a little wrong. There were some strange wire/vine-like things growing out of the ground, wrapping around the lattice woodwork of various booths and starting to burn them. No fire, broke out, but lots of smoke. And so everyone had to After being super worried that there was a bomb, and everyone is still worried that there is a bomb somewhere, they evacuated the floral marketplace and had the wonderful idea to fast track past a couple of investigative opportunities and decide to go straight to the sewers. Upon approaching the sewers, with only one member of the party had actually been down there before, they were met by a mysterious cloaked figure who requested all of them give the reason for why they needed to enter the sewers. Lottie got down there with no problem. Everyone else had to offer services or bangles or show that they actually had an invitation to get down there. Also, this kind individual agreed to watch Genevieve's precious animal companions, because you don't bring pets down into a sewer where there's ladders and things like that.
Well, maybe you don't, dear.
And with that, they made their way into the underground, a location that seemed to start out as a regular sewer. And then as they went further in, they became more witnesses to the fact that there's a lot more going on underground Alstromeria Alley than they realized, including technological upgrades, lighting, and everything that seemed to blur the line between the electronic or mechanical and the floral, with different bulb-shaped light fixtures and different cogs and clockwork pieces that seemed to be growing in the walls of this well-lit underground tunnel system. They ran into an individual named Peony Pete, who was on their way to investigate what everyone else was investigating, what is making wires pop out of the ground. Peony Pete made a pretty good amount of money off of everybody in agreement to guide them further into the sewers. And that's sort of where we left off, everybody venturing forth towards the mysterious seed and the source of all the trouble. I think that covers everything. Alrighty then. So everyone has been following after Peony Pete in the direction of where you now start to smell some smoke. And it's more chemically than wood burning than it was above ground as you make your way further down the tunnels. And there doesn't seem to be any clear signs that tell you what direction to go. But Peony Pete's been down here a bunch of times. Lottie's been down here a bunch of times. Hasn't necessarily gone this path, but you see Peony Pete will brush two fingers against the wall, and there will be the shape of a tulip, and the tulip will slowly rotate in the wall to point to the right or the left, and different gestures like that as they navigate their way down this tunnel pathway towards where the seed is. Peony Pete, carrying that bucket of water, almost seems to be taking a meandering pace as you walk along, no big rush. And after you've been walking about 5 or so minutes, that the chemically burning smell starts to get stronger.
I would love to try a chemistry roll if I could try and identify the smell.
Okay.
I'm thinking that is my chemistry skill.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Woohoo! Let's see if these dice will work with me tonight. Oh, 17. Okay. My number to hit is 51. So
That's a success. Is there anything anybody else wants to do as you walk along?
I'd like to try to figure out where it seems like we're going.
Okay.
Exactly. Does it feel like Pete's sending us into some sort of like mugging or something?
I'm taking back my flowers if he does. That's
they
just rude.
let me see. Go ahead and roll me. I'm torn between psychology and just idea, but I'm gonna go with idea because of the nature of what you do down here and dealing with other underworld people.
Oh. That's a 30 out of 100.
Yeah, so Lottie's mastermind. You're able to pick up very, very quickly that Peonipe doesn't seem to be leading you astray,
Okay.
but based on how you know these tunnels work and how many tunnels there are, more than likely they are taking you a longer way to wherever they're meant to go.
Can I make a track roll to see if I can like keep my bearings?
My next question is, I feel like, and I guess this is something that I can just infer, Lottie figures that it's to keep our companions from learning the passages very well.
Yeah, you're able to pick up. Peony's like, we'll turn left at the tulip and then right at the same tulip. Go back in. But go ahead and make that roll, Charles.
I already did. That's a no.
Okay. Oh, you
Genevieve's just kind of, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Genevieve's just kind of taking in the sights, and it's so fascinating down here. She's wondering if she's ever seen anything like this architecture before, or if there are any knickknacks or shinies along the way that might catch her eye.
Seeing as
even if they're a bit mucky on the ground, you know. You can always,
on the ground.
On the ground, on the wall, on the ceiling, you know, you can always spot gold or even spot some rubbish and turn it into gold with the right bit of daring do and know-how.
So yeah, there's a lot of shiny pieces on the wall because of how the mechanics down here have grown into the wall, and like the bulb-like fixtures, and in some places there's almost like creeping vines that will go down to like 2 feet above the ground, and it's a metallic base, and you'll see peony people brush a thumb against it and something else will shift as they continue down the way. So yeah, there's lots of shiny things. Nothing seems easy to like pick out or remove as you go along. And as you continue, Danina, that roll for the chemistry roll, you smell faint notes of mercury for some reason.
Okay.
Or what you would assume when you've seen mercury mixed with different things would smell like. It's not but it has this faint floral scent to it as well. It's this combination between something natural and something chemical in nature.
Stares in Isaac Newton. Sorry, anyway, yeah. Burning mercury, good call. Cool. If anybody seems curious, she'll definitely start talking to them because she loves curiosity, but otherwise just keep rolling.
How is the smoke getting thicker the closer we get to wherever?
The smell is getting stronger. After about 7 minutes of walking, Peony finally just pauses and is like, all right, if we go any further, whatever you see, like we've made the agreement before, right? You don't tell anybody what you've seen. If anybody asks you what happens, you just say, hey, I'm supposed to be here, make something up. Because I'm not vouching for you if somebody high enough up is like, hey, who are they? I'm going to be like, I don't know, I just found them. They must be down here for a reason. They look at Lottie for a moment and then looks at everybody else. All right, let me explain a couple of things to you. You know how there's like we've got some running water up there, and there's like a sewage system, and then we've got the lights, and then we've got mysterious things happen. Oh, I lost my key, and then someone's like, here it is, and you don't know how it got there and so on. Well, like these are seeds. And I don't know like all the mechanics, but there's seeds that get planted, and then when the seeds get planted, it's connected to different. I think the best word for it, I think they told us it's like a sewer-based adaptive network. I don't know what that means, but
Social network of some sort, like for attending parties or balls.
not more like knowing if there's going to be a party or a ball.
It's kind of like how some plants communicate with each other through signals in their root systems, or
Exactly,
That's
Lottie.
fascinating.
Exactly.
Yep, what she said, because honestly, it's above me pay grade. I just go and steal stuff for the most part. But so in the center, Peony looks up, looks down. In the center, there's like a central seed, and it's located directly beneath where they do all the flower stuff, and that's why like nothing gets stolen, or anything like that, because the monarch knows from this seed what's going on up there.
So, forgive me. You're saying that the vines are connected to the seed, and they transmit information to the monarch.
Right, except there's not really supposed to be vines. That's a new thing. Before it was just a seed. And then it's not supposed to burn. So
Yes, I can see how that would be a problem. Yes. Speaking of burning, the smoke's getting a bit thick. William reaches into his bag and starts handing out masks. He's like, I suggest wearing. Oh yeah, no, of course, Nathaniel, you've got it covered. But if the smoke starts to bother you, or if you start to feel lightheaded, please let me know. That's smelling like stuff we used to burn in the lab back in university. But
I love how this has become a PSA for wear your masks. Everybody,
if you take away one message from today, everyone, it's wear your damn mask.
So you're saying that just doing this bare minimum amount of effort could potentially save my life?
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely.
There are dangerous substances likely in the air right now, but if we can protect ourselves a small amount, that will make a big difference.
Wearing the mask protects the lives of others as well.
Yes. Oh, yes, that's a good point. Thank you very much, Genevieve.
See, this is an educational stream too.
It might not be the most comfortable, but it's a lot easier to breathe when you're not breathing in dangerous particles.
Well, glad I could help.
And Peony Pete has tied like a bandana around their mouth as they nod, and then press in this elegant lily-shaped carving against the wall, pushes it in, and you see two of the walls shift together and then open, and before you is a large chamber that is full of this chemically smell. There's this smoke that has like a faintish greenish blue tinge to it that sort of obscures the view, and you hear the sound of some coughing You hear people barking out different orders, and you see a slender individual that's wearing like a factory clothing comes flying through the smoke towards you all and collapses in front of you into a heap. And Peony Pete is like,
flying as in moving quickly, or flying as in advancing?
Flying like something through it.
Gotcha.
Through them. And they land in front of you in a crumpled heap. And Peony Pete just takes 2 steps backwards and is like, now there's another thing they do down here, which is pretending like you didn't see something at all, and we can just walk back that way. And you see the figure sit up, kind of just wheezing and coughing, bruised, a little bit. They have short cropped, red hair that looks like it has a faint curl pattern to it. Lots of freckles, bright green eyes that are bloodshot from being in this room with all of this smoke and so on. And this is a young lady that Lottie, that her nickname is Teeny, even though she's 6'1". But her nickname is Teeny. And she's
probably pretty good friends too.
Yeah, she's like mechanic, anything she can put together and so on. But her clothing is singed. She looks bruised up and exhausted, and she just laying on her back, panting.
I'll go to help her up. Hey,
I'm gonna help Lottie get her up and away
hand.
from the smoke.
You doing okay?
On a scale from 1 to 15, no. No. So I came in to do maintenance on the seed, make sure everything was okay. And then it got really angry and turned into something that's not a seed.
Nina, is that typical? I'm just whispering.
Oh, sorry, I missed my name. It's like, well, typically a seed does turn into something else given the right conditions. It's fairly normal behavior, but this doesn't seem planned for. Looks at billowing green smoke and bodies whizzing about. It's like, seems unplanned. So, surprising for this seed, perhaps?
Does anyone know what this seed was supposed to be when it was planted?
Good question.
Not really. Like, you plant the seed and then it blooms into this beautiful flower, and then it closes, and then it blooms into a beautiful flower, and then it closes. And while it's open, the monarch can find out what they really need to know, and then when it's closed, nobody needs to know anything.
Pardon, I know. Darling, little sweet ginger girl, I'm sure you need medical attention, and our Dr. Lindsay here is absolutely top of the block. But this monarch to which everyone keeps referring, you do mean our dear Queen Victoria, do you not?
She gives you this look. No.
You see Lottie kind of behind her, like.
No, you're talking like a member of like the socially accepted monarchy that exists outside of the borders of what we really give it, 2 figs about. No, we're talking about the monarch.
Like a butterfly? Like what you put pins in a wall? Or make them into necklaces?
Pollinators.
Ooh.
She just looks at Genevieve, at Lottie.
The more I learn about you, the more curious I become.
They really make excellent jewelry that, each one is unique. They're one of a kind.
This is their first time down here. I don't, you know what? Just, it's fine. Just what they need to know.
Because I kind of think that I might be very badly injured, inside and out. Does anyone have a gun? That's good.
Well, perhaps before we step to the point of needing a gun, perhaps I can just look you over. I'm not sure euthanasia is the directed course at the moment. Can I?
You can roll medicine.
Is it all right if I examine you?
Please, by all means, do so, because I kind of feel like if I close my eyes, I'll start talking to some of my relatives that have passed on, and as they try to summon me towards a light. So you see another body in the smoke fly across. That keeps. It's very angry.
Oh well. Yes. That's a 63 on medicine.
Okay.
Out of 75. So
yeah.
What exactly is it that is tossing everyone around like a ragdoll?
You see Peony Pete pulls a what seems to be almost like a an oversized cuff out of their inner pocket of their their clothing, and it's engraved with peonies, and they strap it onto their thigh about 2 inches above their knee, and they hit a couple of the peonies, and you see some gears whirl and rotate as the cuff turns into a knee brace, and they just crack their neck and their knuckles and sets the bucket aside and looks at you. I'm just going to go in there and see what it is. And she walks forward, now prepared. Teensy is bruised. It looks like a couple of ribs might be out of place.
Okay.
If there's an opportunity to help the good doctor while this is going down, because I have a little familiarity, and I do have borage flowers braided into my hair, so if you need some painkillers you don't carry, I'm just saying. But yeah, sort of like second, there to help out.
Excellent. Yeah, so I will do first aid. I don't know if you need me to roll on that or not, but I will. It looks like you've banged your ribs up pretty good. I can wrap those for you if you like.
By all means, just help yourself, because I really don't feel good. just really
and
don't.
Perhaps something for the pain.
At this point, anything is welcome.
Excellent.
Because I don't know exactly what I saw, but it was very angry.
No, all right.
Do you have any of those opium drops, Doctor? Those are excellent for pain.
Oh,
no.
Teensy shakes her. No.
You're wonderful for the temper as well.
The monarch will. No.
I think we can start with something a bit gentler than that, and I'll turn to Danina. And would you happen to have anything with you right now?
I'll take out my flask and just kind of like offer it up.
She snatches it, just, oh, thank you, bless you. Just tilts it up. Whew. You cannot, you go in with a wrench and you expect to be tightening the screw, and then it turns into the flower from hell, and all of a sudden you really wish that you spent more time talking to the nuns at the orphanage. Just in a moment. It's just,
Danina's decided this is incoherent rambling, but is very excited about an angry flower. So decided she got distracted and didn't immediately respond. I have some flowers I could for pain, and takes the lovely flowers braided into her hair and gives about half of them. They're for chewing. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, nice. Well, chew on that to start, and we'll see.
Should I roll for that?
No.
I'm sorry. Okay.
You don't have to roll to take flowers out your hair and give them
I don't know.
someone you just met who is just holding the flowers.
There are angry plants. I don't want to make assumptions.
She says, meant to put this in my
Yep.
mouth.
Yeah, just chew on it.
Okay.
Like a bit of candy. It should taste like a cucumber.
Right, so
So-
while that's happening,
So essentially nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. Like a cool nothing.
It'll taste like crunchy water.
Yes.
she just looks at Lottie, just like, what the? Well,
You know, they're
this,
terribly refreshing in sandwiches. I add them with a little bit of watercress and marmalade paste, and it's lovely for an afternoon tea.
She just gets this look
Well,
like
we're
I'm
all
really,
discussing-
really sorry.
While we're all
Solomon
discussing
is-
how cucumbers
yeah.
taste, meanwhile, hell is breaking loose. over here.
yes, just
Exactly.
Vay, what are you, not Vay, Solomon, what are you up to?
Besides sharing the same expression that Lottie's having towards the rest of the group, he's sort of watching Ellie head into the smoke, and he's going to take out his gun. He's going to follow her because he's like, he'd better off there than dealing with the cucumber talk. So,
Alrighty then, so I need you to roll me a spot hidden,
okay.
and anyone else who is venturing forward after Peony will need to roll a spot hidden.
To take
I'll
advantage
probably
of
go
my-
along with them because the doctor's probably got this covered.
Also going
Going
to
to yeah.
sneak ahead because
I rolled a 99.
She rolled a 92.
I will jump ship from first aid as soon as it seems like first aid is under control. So probably not yet, but soon.
I rolled an 8 out of 85.
So,
I
and
rolled
you
a-
have some, this also seems to kind of activate your eye as well. That gives you some advantage in this particular situation. This room is usually well lit with bulbs, and you do notice where they are lining the ceiling where some of the smoke has wafted. But as you walk further into the room, there is this bluish greenish illumination coming from the center of the room, and you see the shadows of various, very thin, and you can assume it's the vines that are reaching up towards the ceiling. And hearing that the seed is usually located directly beneath the marketplace, this is probably where those are coming from.
Gotcha.
And the closer you get, did anyone else succeed in their spot hidden?
I got a 32 out of 85.
Okay. So Genevieve and Charles don't notice anything. There's just smoke, and occasionally you have to duck a flying body. But Lottie and Solomon, you see it first. You see these massive, super thin, almost straddling color-wise between pewter and copper petals that are coming off of this center nugget of copper, like a flower that has opened up. And then surrounding the petals, as if something also grew around it, you see 12 delicate looking, you can assume it's glass, it looks glass, it's see-through, small pitcher-like bulbs around the entire flower. And in each of those bulbs, there is this shimmery bluish liquid. And out of the bottom of each of those pitchers leading up to the ceiling somehow are those wires. And so those are the wires that seem to be heated up. And that's where it seems the smoke seems to be curling up from those tiny pitcher, glass-looking pitchers where the wires are connected.
Okay.
Being here before. No, I haven't been.
You've been in similar rooms where there are like central seeds where they'll be like, hey, here's the alley that you need to go in order to get to this back end. Like the seeds basically give them a view of everything.
Gotcha.
You've never seen this. And you kind of get now why Team C is just like, It's angry. I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
And for the 2 people who missed that spot hidden, I need you to go ahead and roll me an agility check right quickly.
Could be a dodge check, or is
You can
it
do
straight? Or is it straight agility?
I will allow you to do agility or dodge.
Actually, my agility is way better than my dodge, so never mind.
Will my arm help with this at all?
Oh, thank goodness.
Because the flavor text was that it's an additional 10% to dexterity and agility.
Yep.
Okay.
37 out of 65.
Okay.
What the 95 out of 60.
Like, I normally, am not an advocate for jailing dice, but I'm...
This is a different set of dice.
So
Okay.
it's not the dice, it's you.
Dog Sagoth is just really angry with me today.
Yeah.
Okay, so... Genevieve, somehow, maybe because you're just caught up in the smoke or things that are whizzing around you, you manage to evade this seemingly coming out of nowhere vine that shoots out from the centralized flower towards you, but does not wrap around you in any way. Our dear word worker, you feel something wrap around your ankle and just start pulling you. And you can do an effort roll if you would like.
Honey, are you okay? Is your house on fire?
No.
Is there an
It's
angry
the
plant?
dinner alarm. In my house, we call that the dinner bell.
My dad
Sorry,
used to call
guys.
that too.
Nope, if somebody used the emergency exit door and they turned the alarm back on for that. Okay, so
I'm
we're
glad
okay.
everyone's okay, though.
Me too.
Glad you're safe.
You
Yeah.
said effort roll, right?
Yep.
That's an 86 out of 60.
Yeah, you're
I'm
just
not
getting
having a good day.
you. This poor Jones. You feel
Say,
something rough.
Oh my god!
Just see, Jones goes from up to down and flying across the room with something wrapped around his ankle.
Somebody, please tell me what's going on.
That's pretty much what's happening as you are caught and entangled in one of these vines. What's everyone else doing?
I'm going to finish wrapping the young lady's ribs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had said that somebody else had come flying out of the...
There's about 3 other people that are just in crumpled heaps.
Okay. I will start... I will go to the nearest one and start checking them over and begin doing triage.
Okay.
I can't see anything in this room, so I'll just head on out and see if I can be of use to the doctor. There's
So you just walk
better
past
visibility in there, anyway.
You just
Can I
walk.
see him?
Yes.
Oh, then I'll try and help him.
Yes.
You can hear him. I didn't make you do a spot hidden for Charles getting flung about with the vine.
Mr. Remington, stop this nonsense at once.
Do I hear her say that from outside? Because I was where I was where Teensy was.
Yeah, you can hear it. Like you are right inside this
cool.
chamber. Yeah. And
He's moving around
Remington,
awful
where
quickly, isn't he?
That doesn't seem safe.
We're here as guests. We're not here to get into games and chicanery. I'd like to try and grab him.
okay.
If my shaming him free doesn't work.
Roll Roll for
I'm interested
shame.
in helping, but I want to see how this shame tactic goes first.
Yeah, exactly.
You do see that Peony comes running up and jumps. Peony is not that heavy or big, but you do see she comes running up and jumps to try to grab Charles's legs, but manages to get an ankle and then drops in a crouch because he's jerking around too fast and she does not want to go for a ride. And she's like, oh, that looks like it's a problem. And so, Genevieve, you can go ahead and roll me. How tall is Genevieve?
About 5'8".
Oh, yeah. So go ahead
She's
and
shorter than me.
roll
Oh
a
no, she's
jump.
5'6". She's 5'6". She's the shortest character I've ever played who isn't a gnome.
Okay. Roll a jump for me.
I'm not good at jump. Let's see how I do. That is a fail.
Okay.
57 out of 25.
So the reason this is more challenging than just grabbing and pulling him out is because it's basically taking him for a ride. It's not quite smashing him like the Hulk, but it is whipping him around the room quite significantly at this moment. So the timing of jumping to catch him, you're a little bit off.
Mr. Remington, when in Rome does not apply to those who are being thrown about like children in a park. Come down from here this instant.
Miss Genevieve, I would absolutely love to. It's quite late for tea. I believe I left my kettle on, but as you can see, I'm a little indisposed at the moment.
Just see a whip past again.
It's all like Doppler effect.
Is anybody else trying to do something to help?
I would like to help by getting
And I
in the
think-
way.
Okay, and Solomon, what was you wanted to do?
How many of these pictures did you say that there were in
There are
the
12.
12. He's going to take a shot at one of them then and try to break it.
Okay. So I'm going to say 1 through 12, pick a number that you would
7.
aim towards. All right. Go ahead and aim and fire.
Okay, I'm trying to bring up the gun mechanics. This is the first time I've actually used it. Let's see. Is there a percentage that's supposed to be attached to it, or?
Yes, there is a percentage that you should have for firearms.
Okay, for firearms. Let me see.
There's handgun, machine gun, rifle, and shotgun.
Yes, there we go. That is going to be a 16 out of 40.
Okay. So go ahead and roll that damage for me, which I think is a 1d6.
1d10 plus 2. I believe.
What are you shooting? What? Wait a minute.
45.
Okay, yeah. All right. That tracks.
Does the damage bonus get applied to this too?
I think damage bonus is only for melee.
9 damage total.
All right. Duly noted.
Does anything happen to it when he shoots it?
Roll a couple of things over here. Alrighty then. Go ahead and roll me either a dodge or an agility, because as you shoot that particular glass pitcher, it cracks and some of that blue liquid starts to leak out and sizzles slightly against the copper wire that is coming out of it. It's kind of like dropping a teacup, and it's on the cusp of being fully broken, but not quite that way. And not that fully broken, one of those wires whips out towards you very quickly. So a dodge or an agility check.
I'll do agility, which actually gave me a 50 out of 50.
Okay, so
right on the nose.
You barely manage to not get snatched up by a vine. And
Okay.
it makes when you shoot we're going to call it the 7 o'clock bulb, it makes this loud. A cuckoo clock is not the best description. It's like an angry owl screech that comes from this floral construction, along with the petals of the flower seeming to rotate ever so slightly. And the whole thing begins to vibrate, and you see another copper wire starts to grow out of that pitcher that you damaged.
Scheisse. Fuck, that is not very good. I thought that would go a lot differently than expected.
She's defending herself. It makes perfect sense. Just like wonderment, like not the person you want with you at Jurassic Park at all. That is exactly what I'm doing.
They do move in herds.
Danina, if you're not busy, I can really use some help here.
Really quickly, I kind of grab someone who looks like they've been here a while, and I say, "Has this thing gotten bigger since you've been here, or smaller?"
Bigger, like more in just woo. And at first it was just like flower, woo, and we're like, oh, that's different. Then there was like bulbs popping up and all these little glass things. And then woo, liquid, and we're like, oh no, how do we deal with that? Then like we hit it with a wrench, and then wires started coming out. And then we got like a letter from the monarch that was like, oh, look and listen, be careful. Don't know what we're supposed to do with that, but it points towards where the flower is.
I take a big breath and I start walking up to the flower and I say, excuse me, but I feel like maybe we should stop trying to hit it and start trying to communicate with it.
I would like to roll to talk to the flower.
Well, because every time you hit it, it gets bigger and angrier. So maybe talking to it first would be better. You know, we talk to people.
While this is happening, Peony has made another jump for you, Charles, and he's grabbed onto your feet and landed, pulling you down with more strength than you would expect someone of her. But the wire is still connected to your ankle, so this is probably going to last for about a round as she's trying to help weigh you down so they can figure out how to get the wire unattached. And she's like, all right, it just looked like you were flopping about starting to get whiplash. I think this is bad. I think this is bad.
You think this is bad?
How thick is the vine that's around Charles's? Like, is it a finger width? Is it like the thickness thick as the wrist? Is it?
It's about half. It's about the width of a pinky.
Oh, okay.
Very strong.
So now that Charles is somewhat
for wires, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So now that Charles is somewhat restrained, William reaches into his bag and rustles around for a bit, and then he pulls out a set of clippers that are supposed to be for like other anatomical things, but in this case would probably cut through this wire, hopefully.
I'm going to retract every single like digit that I have. And as I'm doing that, I'm just going to call out, last time I tried to cut it or pull it, it got hotter, so be careful, please!
And then Peony's like,
That's a good...
I don't think you're going to take off his leg? What? No, wait!
No,
wait.
I'm not going to... Don't be ridiculous. I'm not going to take off his leg. I'd need the bone saw for that.
He just looks troubled.
I'm I'm going to try and cut through the wire. And that's a good point, Charles. Safety first. And I reach into the bag again and pull out a set of gloves, like heat-resistant gloves, and put them on. Thank you so much for the reminder. Hold still.
Who gave you your license, Dr. Frankenstein?
I'd like to hand Charles a wadded up scarf from around my neck and say, I've been told it helps with the pain if you have something to bite on, darling.
You're all mad, every one of you. And then I look up at the flower and go, then again, maybe I am too. And I just bite down on the flower.
Dr. Lindsay, may I have some of that wire when you're finished? I have just the ornament that's been needing a little bit of sparkle. And if it moves on its own, I can get double.
No, give me a second.
Okay, so camera shift over to the people. So while this is happening, basically Peony is helping to pin Charles down. As they're trying to keep their digits clear, the doctor has gloved up and pulled out a pair of pliers to try to cut this wire. And Genevieve has offered over, like a nurse assistant, something for Charles to bite down on. So all of this is transpiring.
Yep.
If there's phase 2, I don't want to jump. I worry about jumping in and talking during someone else's role. So I just want to do a thing, though. So now
we're
it's
going
good.
to shift over to Danina, Solomon, and Lottie. So Danina, what was it you were trying to do?
Cool. Well, she'd been thinking Clipper thoughts as well, though does not carry anything nearly as terrifying as what Dr. Lindsay is packing. So she's going to see this going down and be like, I think there's enough people trying to handle the Charles situation, and take out her small pair of golden gardening shears and look around to see if there's like a small piece of vine that she could get to. Or maybe a large static piece of vine, something that's not whipping back and forth. And if so, she will assess whether clipping it is a good idea.
Okay.
Or attempting to with those shears, because that will give her information.
You wanted to use your idea roll for that?
Looks up idea roll. I mean, if I could use natural history or biology, I would do that.
Go ahead.
Let's see how that turns out for me. Okay, that's a 40. I needed under 70, so
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So I'm going to write that down right quickly. Solomon, with your eye, you're picking up that the heated parts of this plant seem to be centered around those bulbs and the wires, but the center of it is giving you a different infrared, like a cooler infrared signal than the bulbs, the little pictures. And Lottie, give me an idea roll. As you approach it in your adorable way, I think we should talk to it instead of trying to kill it. Well, Danino's over there trying to clip. So decide whether or not to clip a smidgen of it.
I managed to roll a 5.
What the? So you can literally see all of the...
I can see everything.
Can you just loan Charles like this much of your dice luck?
I really wish it's consistently low number rolls all the time. So here it just happens to be a positive thing.
So, Lottie, you stare at this clock, and you stare at this flower arrangement, but in your mind, you think about the clock that is in the center of the marketplace and where that's located. And it's just in the back of your mind. Everyone is seeing this flower that is, perpendicular to the ground. You see it in your mind as facing up, and you see that the different petals and all of the bulbs seem to be forming a clock face you in your mind. That's what you can clearly see. You you see that the bulbs seem out of place, because for a seed that blooms, these are two different types. You don't know flowers well, but you do know like the difference between a daisy and a dandelion. It's two different flowers, like someone mushed them together. But this is a clock. Like you immediately spot that it's a clock, especially when the petals seem to rotate every so slight. Just like, okay, I'll just say it. Every minute you see these petals click to the right just a little bit and then click again. And this is what you're seeing in your mind as all of this shenanigans are going on right now.
So here's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Can I climb on top of it?
Yeah. Hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
Wait.
Lottie's going to attempt to very gingerly, without hurting it in any way, kind of climb over it and see if there's any indication on top of it as to what the problem might be.
All right. You can give me a clocks are like what the you can give me a I just need a thing that says honey.exe has stopped working. Okay. A climb roll.
Oh, that's 55. Let's see what happens. Climb is 40, so it's a fail.
All right. Go ahead and roll me a luck check right quickly.
70. Okay. My luck's run out. 77 out of 70.
Alrighty then. As you go to try to find your purchase to climb on top of it, two of the petals start to close in and trap your arm, but you were trying to pull yourself up, and you are now technically grappled by two of these petals and held in place.
Okay, bad idea.
Can Solomon try and climb up after her and try and get her down? That seems very...
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll a climb.
Oh boy, let's see what that is for me. I don't think that's a good one.
Shoot her down. I'm sure she'll be fine.
Yeah, that's solve everything with a gun. Let's see, you have to find... There it is. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh gosh. We're in the same place. We are not.
I became a doctor.
It's that easy?
Oh my gosh. How excited.
All these years of med
you
school
got.
for nothing.
Oh goodness. Excuse
I
me,
was telling Andrew
everyone,
he
while
wasted so much time.
This is professional stream.
Yep, we're
We're
super
gonna
professional.
Over here. No, this is hold on.
Sorry
Oh my gosh.
Sorry about that. We're having a bit of weather, and that destabilized internet for a second. So
Makes
That's
perfect
okay.
sense.
Oh, come back. Where are you? There you are.
Please stand by while we chase our alpacas.
Yo. Come on now.
We could have a screen of like an alpaca being chased by an armadillo. It'll be fun.
I will.
There's an
I will
alpaca
do my
like
best
10
to
feet
find,
out the window.
I will do my best to find that that little animation, and that'll be okay. We're good. We're good. Sorry,
Okay.
y'all.
Alrighty then. So, Solomon, what did you get on your climb?
A 7 out of 40.
Okay, so you scramble up there on top of. It's going to be tricky to maintain your balance. It's not like you've got footholds. There's a bolt, like a centerpiece into this whole thing that's bulbous. But you manage to find a way to climb up there, and you're trying to get Lottie out.
Free, yes.
Roll an effort.
Effort, okay. It's going to be 32 out of 45.
So you start to pry. There's a lot of resistance there, and it's pretty much at the cusp of your physical strength to start to pry those two petals apart to give Lottie enough room to remove her arm from that trap.
I pull my arm out and I say, "Thanks," and I just drop down. Obviously, climbing on top of it was a bad idea.
All right.
I don't know if I can particularly get down now. I sort of had an idea of how to get up.
And as you say that, you start to feel the petals that your feet are on are just starting to slowly shift. And on your next roll, we will do an agility check. We're going to go over to Danina right now. As Solomon is balanced on a clock flower.
It's fine. It's fine.
Danina, with your clippers, your intelligence roll, you passed that, correct?
Yeah.
You also are able to, go through your mental Rolodex of plant lore and know that the flower that you're looking at looks more like a queen of the night, but the bulbs that you see are more like like pitcher plants. The little glass things are more like pitcher plants. These two things don't grow together. So there is probably a place where you can see where it has been spliced together or something like that, but that would require a spot hidden because you don't have the knowledge that Lottie has right now about this being a clock.
That makes sense. She's curious if, she wants to know if it's organic or not. And, yes, it's metal, but it's also acting very organic. And, yeah, I would love to look for where it might be spliced. If there's a chance of that. Because, you could do that with roses. Why can't you do that with gigantic, terrifying, thrashing flower plants that glow in places? Spot hidden?
So, roll me that spot hidden as you try to figure out where it may be spliced. Over there, Doctor. And everyone
Fail.
over... Oh, man. All right, so... Charles, the situation with the wire and the thing, the clippers are enough somehow. I need you to roll an effort for me, Dr. William Lindsay, because this is...
Of course. Let's see, where's that? Oh, yes. That's where I'm a Viking.
Can I help?
32 out of 70.
Oh, you didn't need any assistance.
your moral support was super helpful. This takes some work. It's not just the pliers, it's also that brute strength you have to use when using a bone saw or other archaic things. You know how to put this weight into it.
Yeah.
Charles, this is probably both. Peony has this look of just horror on her face and terror, and she's just whispering to you, I don't know lots of prayers because I don't go to church, but if I did know them, I'd be doing them right now. Oh my goodness, it's just don't look. I just need to say don't look at all.
I'm looking straight into their eyes and just going, it's okay. I stopped going to church so long ago. I don't know that many prayers either. Just tell me when it's over because this is, and of course this is all coming out as.
Your faith in me is very, very reassuring.
I've got a lot of faith in you. I mean, you gave me a lot of money. But And they're just gonna watch as you wrestle those pliers through that copper wire. And there's still some wrapped around your ankle, Charles, but it's now severed from whatever that plant that was connected to the plant. And it rises up and kind of weaves, not unlike a cobra, the part that's been severed.
And I just clack the clippers at it. It's like,
That's beautiful.
right, off you.
So
How that
the
it's
bit
not
that's
attached
still-
to Mr. Remington. It's quite lovely, isn't it?
Charles, what was your question?
So the bit that's still wrapped around my ankle, is that now inert, or is that...
It is inert.
Okay.
As far as you know. It's not moving or tightening.
All right, I'm gonna yank that off of my ankle and kind of like coil it up and shove it into my inside coat pocket. And as I do that, I'm going to pull out my pistol. And just in case something else comes for me, now I am armed. I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. I'm out of my element. Solomon! What the hell is happening?
Why do you ask me like I'm supposed to know what the hell is happening? I'm on top of a fucking tree.
Because you're the one that had the letter. Did you see... Lottie, what's happening?
Actually, Lottie is looking at the base of this flower, thinking of a clock and how a clock works. How do you get a clock to stop working? Do I see anything on this flower that would behave like a clock if I put a wrench in it? Or something.
All right, we're going to do something here. Danina, how much of the information that you're finding out are you sharing?
As soon as Lottie's back on the ground with me, I'd absolutely share anything. Like we've studied plants together before. Well, I've talked about plants a lot at her, whether she liked it or not, more than likely if she was near me. So very excited to share what I've learned. So yes, pretty much all of it.
People have been talking at Lottie about plants her entire life.
Yeah. Like, not in a, like, you will sit here and listen to my, like, essay on thorns kind of way, but, like, yes, I would be thrilled to talk about plants. So it's habit forming. Yes, I would share the information.
Alrighty then. So, each of you give me an idea. No. For you, Danina, this would be a no roll, because this is your education, basically. This is going to pull on some things that you have learned from studying.
Okay, so not like hands-on stuff from the...
Yeah.
Cool.
And Lottie, I need for you to roll me a luck. Yes.
Damn! How did I roll a 93 again? These dice get to take a nap.
I got a 22 out of 70.
Okay.
35 is the apparently mark.
All right. So I'm going to write that down for a certain reason. As you all are studying the base of this plant, what I will tell you is that, again, I dropped the thing about Queen of the Night, which is important here, and Lottie communicating that this is a clock. Solomon, I need you to give me an agility check.
Fuck. Okay. That's not good. That's a 77 out of 50.
Okay, roll me a constitution, please. So your stamina.
Stamina, thank you. All right. That is a 77 out of 50.
So you feel, first of all, it twitches, like those petals shift all of a sudden and you lose your footing. And you kind of fall half off of the flower in half on the flower. And whatever part of you is still touching the flower, you feel like this electrical jolt. There's this burst of hot energy, and it doesn't seem to have, because I'm being nice here, you don't take any damage from it, but you feel it, and it definitely makes whatever hair you have stand on end. So that's the clock. Over there with the wire and the doctor and so on, Doc, you're able to kind of set up triage for those people who have been injured. And a lot of them look like they've just been banged around, and bruised. There's no lacerations or cuts. A couple of them have burns. Wires are still whipping around. But you all are standing in positions where you're not necessarily getting snatched up. As Lottie and Nina are at the base of the flower studying that. So anybody that wants to get closer and help with that investigation or so on, they're welcome. You can give me another no roll, Danina, and a Lottie, I'm going to keep your luck one because this is what this is dependent upon. Genevieve, roll for shine. Well, no, there's no shiny skill.
I'm excellent at shinies. I did have a Tunnels and Trolls character who had that as a skill. Spot hidden?
Yes.
Okay. Be nice. Yes. Okay, that's a 60 out of 75.
Okay. You notice from where you are, because you're always on the lookout for something that's shiny and stands out, the petals have this pewter copper hue. The copper wires have just clear copper. But it's because it isn't shiny, you notice it more than because it is. At the base, if you tilt your head to where Lottie and Danina are looking, you notice that the metal looks darker, almost like a cast iron.
Okay.
And wrapped around that cast iron are slivers of copper.
Okay, go ahead.
I was like, so I don't know if they mentioned looking for an area or something where it may show where things have been spliced or anything like that. But you, with your eye for looking for things that are shiny, you do notice that's a very dark metal, and then the copper is contrasting through that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just be like, it's pretty fascinating the way this is put together. All of it's so shiny and sparkly, but then there's one part right over here by the leaves, closer to the bulb. It's really, they've brought in some dark and some shiny metal, and it brings excellent contrast. I never considered putting cast iron and copper wire together, but I believe if they brought in a little bit of gold, there's already some pewter there, but if they brought in, I don't know, some mother of pearl or something a little bit more iridescent, it could really do wonders for the place. It's quite charming as it is, but the chiaroscuro's lovely. Do you see this, ladies? Lottie, I expected that this would have caught your eye immediately.
While Solomon is half on the flower and half off of the flower.
We're very focused.
Solomon, you can just drop down, right?
I'm sorry, which one of you are going to catch me if I decide just to fall?
I dropped down.
At my age, I believe I might break something more than you might.
I'll try to catch you.
Not on your own. I'll
go up and be like, we could try to catch you?
I wasn't actually going to try to catch him.
If it looks like Lottie was about to, Danina will come help. But if not, she will decide
so
to
you have Charles and Nina coming up to help. And then Lottie is like, I'll help. And roll for trust fall.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He'll drop.
Yeah.
This is gonna go great.
You've got enough people here to support you.
Yeah.
You know, falling without hitting the ground. It wasn't Lottie, but
Crowd surf. It'll be fine.
See, you didn't even need any help. What's this cast iron?
Mm.
Change the
Ross,
subject.
did you note the chiaroscuro on your way
just
down?
staring.
I don't know if they have that word in Germany. It's the interplay of light and dark. It comes from Italy and the Renaissance painting.
gosh.
As soon as Solomon's back on the ground, Danita's gonna head to this chiaroscuro as well.
Okay. Peony is just kind of sitting there watching, like, what is a churrascara? What? If we could maybe focus on getting it to stop, maybe after that we can analyze, you know, how pretty it is.
Can I see any like exposed gears or clockwork or anything like that?
If people get close enough to look at that detailed work that Genevieve was pointing out, you will definitely start to see some things that look cogwork-like.
All right, I'll go over to where Genevieve is rambling and start trying to make sense of it.
Genevieve sadly thinks that Peony Pete is actually interested in learning about art history and is now focusing her attention entirely on teaching Renaissance art history to Peony Pete.
Yeah,
Peony
Lottie-
has this deer in the headlights. But paying attention. Okay, Lottie, what are you doing?
Lottie, grateful for the excuse of misdirection from Solomon, went straight over and started analyzing as well.
Okay. I'm looking at your guys, the stats that you already have to decide whether I want to be cruel and ask you to roll or not. So I'm going to introduce something to this group that I did with the other group and I do with a lot of my groups. I do what is called a player bid, which means you tell me what on your sheet you want to roll and give me the in-character justification as to why that is what you are going to roll. And then we roll it to weave it into the story, because there's a lot of stuff people have on their sheets that they don't get to use that might be relevant to a situation. So I always allow people to do that, especially in crunch time, you know, where you're like at the crux of everyone is looking at the same thing, but approaching it from different perspectives. So I'll go to each person to ask, what on your sheet is it that you are going to want to roll to endeavor to help solve this situation or figure out what needs to be solved. I'll write down, you know, what each one of those, and we'll roll through them after you give me your bids. And we'll see the successes and the failures to see where the story goes from there. So we will start with the good doctor and work our way up. Is there any way that you want to, as everyone is gathering around the flower, to try to look at where the gears are connected and what exactly is happening here? Is there a way that you want to contribute towards finding this solution?
Sure. Having made sure that everyone who is injured is okay, William will start making his way towards the center, basically following the sound of talking and screaming. He's not anywhere near the botanist that Miss Danina is, but he did study biology extensively. So since we've already sort of sussed out that this is acting like some sort of like creature as opposed to just mechanical bits, he's going to lean on his biology and see if he can figure out exactly how is this thing functioning. It seems to be made out of copper and iron, but it's acting like a biological creature.
Alrighty then. So go ahead and roll that and write down and record what that is, and I'll come back to you to see what that success or failure was. Charles.
Okay.
So I'm going to approach this, as odd as it might sound, I'm going to approach this from a carpentry point of view. As a carpenter, I would have likely made my fair share of clocks, especially grandfather clocks, ornate pieces of work. So I would be intimately familiar with the clockwork machinations of how that would work. So I'm going to try and see if I can use my knowledge of clocks in general to see if there is a pressure point or like an essential gear that can be removed or damaged to somehow stop all of this from going on.
Alrighty then. So go ahead and roll that and record it for yourself what that is. You can do this with advantage, which means you basically roll your D10 twice and take which of those you want to add to it. And we'll come back to see how that went for you. As everybody send positive vibes for Chase's dice.
The D10 or the percentile dice?
The 10.
D10? Okay.
All right. Lottie.
Lottie's going to call on her mechanical repair knowledge because she does actually work with mechanical things like this clock, possibly. To try to figure out how she can stop it, or if maybe there is something that shouldn't be on the clock and how to get rid of it.
Okay. So go ahead and roll that and record that result for yourself. Danina.
There's the fun. So Danina, and I was double checking the definition here, but for natural history, it's like the knowledge of hobbyists and proficients. And since she's been in gardening and herbalism for so long, she'd know the goals behind splicing two plants together. Since this looks like two very different species combined, that happens for a reason, and that can result in a plant that has weak points if both plants don't mesh well. So she'd love to roll to see if these plants act like their counterparts in the natural world, what might weak points be of their combination.
Okay. So go ahead and roll that and record that for yourself. Genevieve.
So, having given a history lesson already, Genevieve is going to draw on what she knows about similar structures, if she's seen anything like this in the past, and could make sense of what this, like, not like in a past life, but like read or seen a picture of anything remotely similar, either. So I was thinking either art history, archaeology, or just straight up history. If I could roll any of those to see, like, if she would have come across anything kind of like this in one of her books and could make sense of, like, what it's for or how it works.
Okay. You choose which one of those you want to roll, and I'm cool with all of them because I've got some stuff for you. All right, and last but not least, Solomon.
Solomon, through his various jobs, has worked in it's just simply with mechanics and locks that needed to be open. So he's going to look for any compartment or something on the machine that may need to be opened, and is calling on the let's see, I just had it. It was the lock picking.
Okay. So go ahead and roll that, and we're going to record that down. So here comes the fun part. Did anybody fail their rolls? Okay. So I'll take that into account. But everybody else.
Me.
So next time you all put in some positive energy. Let's do it for everybody's dice. We've seen what happens when we focus. That means we're powerful. So let's next time make sure we spread that love to everybody. But did anybody succeed by what would be their hard success? Okay.
Remind me again what that would be.
It's
Half.
Half. Then
Okay.
yeah.
All
That
right.
was like one off.
All right. So this is how we're going to do this. From a biological level, this is behaving like a mother creature. The odd thing is it doesn't seem to have any seeds that are coming out of it. It doesn't seem to be doing any type of germination or anything like that. But the bulbs that have grown around it have some type of symbiotic relationship with the mother. So seeing how mothers are protective of their offspring, how the wires are whipping around, how everything is happening, it does seem like there is a direct relationship between the floral aspect of it, the flower center being the source of energy, so to speak, or life, and the pitcher plants living off of it in a parasitical sort of way. So that's your biology. From a carpentry and mechanical standpoint, you start to notice that those that cast iron and where it can be seen in between the petals and between where everything is growing, there are cogs just like a clock. And one thing that stands out to probably both of you is it has the same mechanisms in there that is designed to make the hands of the clock move. And there are 12 pitchers, 12 little pitcher plants around this particular conflagration of a being. So somebody got a couple people got a hard success here. So there aren't any hands on the clock outside of these petals. There's like 4, petals here. But there is the mechanisms inside that would control, the shorthand and the longhand of a clock. So those mechanisms are present in there, and they look like they can be moved. And that ties into Genevieve. As you stare at this and how it is positioned, what skill did you use specifically?
History.
From a historical standpoint, you are also reminded, oddly enough, of I'm going to mispronounce this because my brain just hit a block. Of Charybdis, the whirlpool Greek mythology monster where it has the mouth and so on. That flickers through your mind because you're not looking at it from a biological standpoint. You're looking at it from your memory of history and things that are fantastical and all the rest of it. And it has that sort of whirlpool-like flicker that goes to your mind that's going to be important sometime in the future. But that's what comes to mind. Did Danita ever name it as Queen of the Night?
Oh, totes. If she recognizes a specific floral pattern, absolutely.
Alrighty then. And you also remember reading that Queen of the Night as a flower. It opens after a very specific time, and it closes by a very specific time in the morning. And then pulling in that lock picking tool, you notice that there are some grooves and stuff, and as everyone is pointing out how the clock faces are connected and the cogs and so on, there are areas where tools that are small, like lock picking tools, look like they'd be able to fit in to jimmy rig or move things in a very specific direction. So all of this information is what you managed to gather from those collective rolls. And what are you doing?
I'm gonna attempt.
Would Danita? Oh, after you.
I'm gonna attempt to move the clock forward in time. fast forward.
All right.
If I see Lottie doing this, I'm going to help her.
All right. Do either of you have lockpicking tools, or are you going to ask Sullivan to help with? Oh, yeah, Lottie has.
I have my hand.
Okay. And you also have lockpicking, correct, Solomon? All right. So,
There are very few locks that are safe from Lottie.
all right. And is anybody going to? I'm assuming someone is going to share the information about what time that they normally close. The flowers close. Is that an approach you're going to take, or is there a different time that you're going to move it to?
I'll say as I start getting in there, hey, if we move this forward until when it's supposed to close, then maybe it'll close? Danita?
Well, I don't see why not. Normally they would close at, Danita says the time because she knows how flowers work.
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure what time it is now, and given the lack of artificial light, that could throw things off, but that's the time I would start with.
Okay.
Okay. And William, you would know that while this is happening, people probably would need to be on watch of it trying to defend itself because of you figuring out it being like a mother plant.
Yeah, the outer petals seem to be trying to protect the central part. So just be careful while you're trying to. I mean, I've got my clippers, so I can cut you loose if we need to. But better safe than sorry.
All right. So I need lockpicking checks from Solomon and Lottie, and I need you to give me an agility check, Charles, if you're going to use your hand to help with this.
Yes.
Nice. 34 out of 51.
Okay.
I got
59 out of 60.
Ooh.
15 out of 71. I'm never not using these dice.
So, goodness. And now I need all of you to roll luck. Luck for me. Just the three that are directly moving stuff, Danina and Genevieve and William. I'm assuming that you're just kind of like bracketing this.
Yeah.
Watching the beautiful plant defend
I rolled a
itself.
6.
Okay.
55 out of 70.
Okay.
I rolled a 99.
Okay. So.
Well, we'll miss you.
No,
Absent chat.
it's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. So, as this is happening, Lottie gets into position. You kind of work out where Solomon needs to be on the other one. I'm assuming one of you is going to move the shorthand. One of them is going to move the longhand to get this to work. Charles, you notice that the center bulb part actually has to be pressed in for the other pieces to move. So you're able to use, some of your extra strength and agility to push in that center bulb some so that they can start moving those hands. As this is happening, Solomon, you feel something wrap around your ankle. So I need you to give me an agility check or a dodge.
That's also not good. That's a 95.
So as it is happening, you get the hands moving, things are moving forward, the wires are going all crazy. All of a sudden, Solomon was there one moment helping you move the clock, and the next he just gets snatched up by the plant and is dangling above it from his ankle. As you all try to do this, and when he moves, the pressure that was needed to move that hand has now stopped. So you're only moving one hand forward. Which means we're going to do another round of rolls once, y'all get Solomon down. So he just gets snatched up. You see him.
Don't worry, Solomon, I'm on my way.
I know you're fond of Mr. Remington, but it's really not an excellent time to imitate him.
Swear to all things holy, once I get down, I'm going to shoot you into myself as I'm going to leave. But for the love of Christ, can you get me down from here?
I'm on my way.
Genevieve, get your scarf. It helps.
Danita will hurry over too.
Just so supportive. Peony is just like, I hope the last one. I'm not doing this again. She's actually. He's like,
Can he try to shoot the vine that's like, at the risk of shooting his own foot? Just take a shot?
I am morally obligated to inform you that this will be you will need a hard success for this to pass. But I am not in the habit of telling people not to go for things. If it really fell on your heart to do this, I am obligated to be supportive.
I'm obligated to risk it for the biscuit.
Okay.
So you tell me what you need from me.
I need you to roll your firearms.
Hey. Good thing I took proficiency in handguns.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, it's a total of 40. Exactly half out of 20.
Okay. So you got a 10?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You see Solomon take precise aim at this wire and fire and sever it. But now I need you to roll me an agility check to see how hard you hit the ground.
Yeah, I didn't think about that in hindsight. Oh, God to be merciful, that's a 3.
Okay. So you just somehow managed to catch yourself with a bit of grace from years of falling experience and not end up flat on your back or your face.
You hear Lottie yell out, "See, I told you could do it."
You're going to have to teach me how to do that shot that you just did. That was impressive aim.
All things considered, let's go back to the clock. And he's going to go back to what he was doing before.
Right. So the 3 that are working to move it, you're going to have to do another round of rolls because you got interrupted.
While they're focused on that, William is going to try and he's drawing on his rugby experience. He's going to try as much as possible, if there are any vines that look like they're about to come in and try and snatch somebody, he's going to try and dive in front of the vine to basically take one for the team, since he's not currently working on the flower.
I will make a note of that.
Danita will try to follow suit, but she's really not got rugby experience. She's more of a badminton person, so it looks very different. And much less effective. Much less effective.
It's the most adorable. I've got you.
Just imagining you running around with like a wrench going, backhand, forehand.
She would also narrate, so yes, exactly like that.
Yep.
Get those tennis grunts in.
This is the most ladylike grunts when it's badminton. It's just, it's just a very delicate game.
Yeah, it's all like extremely femme and like high femme grunts.
Okay, so Charles, the agility, Lottie, and Solomon, the lockpicking.
I rolled a 14.
Okay.
Oh, I rolled a 53 out of 71.
Okay.
I rolled a 49 out of 51.
Okay. So now I need the round of luck checks.
Oh, right.
For the love of God, roll good.
Can Genevieve come in and assist with the lock picking?
Yeah, you'd have to give me a lock picking roll, and you would also need to give me a luck check.
Yeah, that's fine.
I got a
10.
48 out of 70.
Okay.
So that is a 15 out of 71 on Locksmith.
Okay. And give me a luck roll right quickly.
Yeah. That is just making it. That's a 36 out of 45.
Did anyone fail their luck check? All right. So I'm going to roll a d4 to see who comes to your rescue, Danina or the doctor.
If it matters, I rolled a 95.
Good God, why? I mean, okay. So,
Have you tried not doing that?
and heads up, I think
I think she was going to say her Zoom is having issues.
Yep,
Or
I
her
think so too.
internet.
But
Or
it's,
one of the-
But it's having issues.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh no.
am I back?
There you are.
She's back.
Am I
Hey,
here?
Yes,
you are.
you're fine.
Am I alive?
Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
My dog disagrees. Yeah, my Zoom is doing weird stuff right now. So if you can hear me, I was saying that Danina is the one that is on your side, Charles, to come to your rescue based on the randomness of a d4. But I still may be frozen.
We hear you.
Okay. So go ahead.
Yeah, we can see you too. You're good.
Wonderful. I just can't see myself.
Oh.
Story of my life. When okay, Danina, please give me an effort roll.
Goody. Glad I can save somebody. This is gonna go great. Effort. Okay. Oh. Whatever it says, my heart was in it. Oh, sweet! 21 out of 45.
Wow.
And actually, that's lower than because there's the very hard, the
Yep.
sort of hard, and that's lower than my sort of hard.
So, Danina, please describe to us how you intervene between this vine attacking and wrapping around Charles's ankle in your most badminton athletic way.
Okay. Well, because the clippers haven't actually been of use to her to attack the plant, she still has them in hand, and that's what she's been gesturing with while moving about gracefully and with much elegance. And it's not unlike a picnic when she was 17 back on her aunt's manor. There was a badminton tournament that got very heated, and one of the birdie flew over and went very low because they knew she wasn't good at getting those low shots. And as this vine snakes forward, she recognizes that arc of approach, lunges, and I don't actually know badminton, but she does. I'm going to say a backhand very dramatically upwards. And like the skirt swirls around her as it happens. But yeah, so she smacks it and it reels backwards.
Yep. So, Charles, you do not get snatched up by a vine, and you all are able to move that clock hand forward to the time designated by Danina. And when the clock hands are exactly where they need to be, and you've got all of you working on making sure the cogs are going the right places with all these delicate locksmithing tools, everything goes quiet. And the wires that were growing up into the ceiling just start to fall from the ceiling, as if whatever energy was getting pumped into them to keep them up and writhing has been cut. And you just have all these wires falling. So I need you all to just go ahead and roll agility or dodge to see how many of you get hit by wires.
Fuck. 92.
Okay.
55 out of 60.
Okay.
67 out of 65.
Okay.
Bonk.
So I rolled 100.
What? Okay.
No.
And we were rolling. Sorry, we were rolling luck.
No agility or dodge.
Agility. Oh, good. Those are worse. Yes, I definitely failed.
Okay. So anyone who failed, you suddenly are being hit, smacked, basically with the equivalent of, copper limp spaghetti is falling from the ceiling all over the place. Some of you are getting tangled up in the wires that fall. Some of you are just getting, mildly scalded by, some of the wires hitting exposed skin. But all of a sudden, that clicking and whirling and, the deafening sound of chaos dies down. The smoke still lingers a little bit because things were burning, but that also starts to clear. And you are standing in this large area. People that have been knocked out or hurt or whatever in the triage area. Peony Pete standing there, arms crossed over their chest as they just watch this display. And everything is eerily quiet. And the flower, those petals, have folded all the way in and up, and it has closed.
Is there still access to where the gears were that we were working on?
No, and I'm going to assume you all saw the petals were closing in time to try to get out of the way.
I was going to try to shove something in there to keep it from...
You probably could look into that,
Okay.
after it is closed, but once you hit that time, the petals started to close in.
Well, that worked actually really well.
As things considered, I expected one of us to be dead.
Was a brilliant stroke treating it like a clock. Brilliant.
Yes, good show by all. How are we going to prevent this from occurring again?
Well, we could jam the gears with something.
Pardon my being forward, but Lottie, I believe you know the individual who would know the most about this, being Zim unlike herself. Themselves. Is it a she?
Nobody knows.
It's a very good question, isn't it?
It would be reasonable to ask who was in particular responsible for this seed. If it's behaving differently than the others, that can mean something significant about the batch it's from, or the grower.
I need you all to go ahead and roll. There's no notice check in Call of Cthulhu, so let me see what I want you all to roll. You know what? We're not going to worry about it. One moment you're there discussing what to do, and then you just see Peony Pete pales somewhat, which is impressive considering the hue of their skin, and they turn to face the doors, and you just see two individuals of similar height and build as Flutter, cloaked so that their features are shadowed, and they're just standing there with their arms folded as they look in at all of you. One starts to move forward towards the seed, looks at it's closed, looks at the rest of you, and it's like, I suppose this means you are due an audience. Do you have somewhere else to be tonight, or?
Yeah, no.
Will there be food? My bowl of stew seemed to be misplaced in all the hubbub.
Lottie elbows you really quick. Yeah, we can make time. We're here for this.
An audience sounds fine, and if you look over, you'll see William is I'm guessing on 100, William caught not just like the edge of one of these vines, but
just kind of half buried.
That scene in Star Wars where C-3PO is like thrashing around in a thing of like wires and circuits and stuff like that. That's William. He's just caught this entire vine, and is like, could somebody please just give me a bit of a hand?
I'll go over and help him.
Oh, no, you have it yourself, obviously.
Danina will, and she will use her clippers on the wires that fell because she's still curious about whether the clippers can cut through them.
Because he specifically asked for me to give him a hand, I'm going to take off my prosthetic and hand it to him.
That is a man after mine own heart.
I'll take it from Charles. It's like, oh, that's very funny, Charles. I'll just hold on to that and slip it into my bag.
Danina does not get the joke. At least not yet. It's going to be at least 30 seconds.
He asked for a hand, so he gave him his literal hand.
Oh, so it's like a play on the wording.
Yes, that would be the accurate assumption.
Oh, that is delightful.
This is my
A
joke
little
backfired.
macabre.
Disgruntledly, like one hand, just pulling vines off of William.
Oh,
I'll help.
it's not so funny now, is it?
Solomon watches and laughs.
Danina would actually like to cut one of those vines with her clippers if she can, though, at some point.
You can. They're copper and they're inert right now.
Okay, good deal. Just checking.
Solomon is curious about the bulb he shot. Is there any lasting damage from him having done that he can see?
You mean the picture that was shot?
Yeah.
It has that liquid is like still kind of leaking out of it, and it looks like a glass teacup or a glass pitcher that has been almost completely shattered, but something is still holding it together.
Can he bottle any of the liquid?
In what?
Glass vial.
You can try.
Why not?
Yeah, if William sees that, after he's been extricated from the vines, if he sees that Solomon is trying to, he'll reach into his bag, hand Charles back his hand, and then and then give Solomon like a sample bottle.
Okay.
Grab enough for both of us, please.
I'm sorry. Genevieve would curtsy to the two who entered. Say, are we going to dinner? Are we scrounging for parts? Are we meeting new folk? What exactly are we doing here? I just want to make sure I'm properly attired.
I believe it's all of the above.
Mr. Ross, do you have a good view of the vortex from where you're at?
The what? No.
Vortex?
If you see the bulb like Charybdis, when she swallowed the sea, her in a vortex could be seen. The spray rained down crags on either side, the cauldron of vast fire and all of that.
My apologies. I have no clue of what the fuck you are talking about.
Sorry, the cauldron of what now?
A vast fire. It's from the Odyssey, dear.
Oh, sorry, that is not what I heard.
It is the Odyssey.
Haven't you read Homer?
9.
Well, I don't know what they teach you in Germany, but you would all benefit from a good dose of classical literature. Now tell me if you get anything from the center of the vortex, love.
The two individuals, they almost seem to clear their throat in unison. They're like, we're going to send somebody to remove this. And I'm sure if you impress the monarch enough, you'll get the access to continue your investigation. But as of right now, you have seen so much, done so much, that the extension of an invitation is more of a show because we want you to come willingly. But yeah, it's time to go see the monarch.
At
I believe
this
I do
point,
have a few questions for them as well.
sensing the formality of what is happening, Danina would straighten up a bit and not walk up to them, but definitely turn to face them. Like, and it would be an honor to meet them. Thank you for the invitation. Should we proceed eminently, or do we have a moment to collect ourselves?
They look at each other, then look at you all. Then look over where Peony Pete is endeavoring to make themselves look as small as possible. Then they've kind of fiddled with that knee brace that they had put on, and it contracts back into like the cuff that it was, and they slip it into a pocket. And then Peony Pete says, all right, I get it, and starts to help some of the people that were injured and so on up, marks who can walk, who can't, and you start to see. You've seen some of these people before above ground, usually some with more shawls or some looking, shh, it's okay. Goodness. And some looking, someone you swear sells buns at one of the corners and so on. You see a few familiar faces of the people who seem down or out of their luck over the corner with the hat asking for money and so on. They start to kind of filter in and get some of the people who are wounded and escort them out as the two figures gesture for you all to follow them and about face and walk out of the large room.
No one's ever really seen Lottie look particularly nervous before. She looks pretty nervous. She's very quiet, also trying to look very small, which isn't actually hard for her because she's tiny.
Right, do you all follow?
Yes.
I mean, I'm kind of feeling like I don't really have a choice, so I'm gonna holster my pistol and press on.
Alrighty then. And with that, they start leading you down this complex series of corridors and so on, and start to lead you past places you're familiar with, Lottie, and then slowly but surely the rough cobblestone kind of the compacted earth kind of gives way to this cobblestone that sort of gives way to something that almost looks like marble, and then the rough walls that have like the cogs and the clockwork stuff in it and the flowers that are pieces of technology get oddly more refined and advanced as you continue down hallways you've never seen before. And then you stand before two doors that are about 10 feet tall each. They look like they are fully cast iron and designed to look like a set of gates. And they have this deeply engraved shape of a very large butterfly. And the two individuals who escorted you just turn about face, look at you all, and say, you've got about 5 minutes to make yourselves presentable, and someone will be out to bring you in. And they just stand there, guard in front of the doors, and leave you to your own devices for about 5 or so minutes.
A quick and small bow before turning back to the group.
Yeah. It's only at this point that William realizes that he's still holding the clippers and like wearing the heavy gloves. So he's like, sorry, and starts tucking everything away and straightening out his kilt. And
I essentially just take the cloth I had wrapped around as a mask and use that to wipe any smudges or anything like that off of myself. Straighten my hair and skirts and put on the dimples.
Solomon looks impeccable, as he always strives to be.
Genevieve just gives her hair a bit of a pat because, running through the smoke, she's been a bit mussed. And she's going to kind of sidle over to Charles since he mentioned food and say, Mr. Remington, I know you're a bit peckish, but as I'm not quite sure what's going on here, it's best to be precautious and perhaps not eat anything. Remember, we must not look at goblin men. We must not buy their fruits. Who knows upon what soil they fed their hungry, thirsty roots?
While I appreciate your talent for poetry, I'm still hungry.
Aye, well, I don't know much about thirsty roots, but and he reaches into his bag. It's like, try some jerky.
Solomon, while the food conversation is going on, is actually going to try and pull Lottie aside and sort of lower himself down to her level. Solomon's a fairly tall gentleman. Obviously, there's a lot that you know of this current situation. Mein Fräulein, what can you tell me about our soon-to-be host?
Not much.
Yep.
Flashes the dimples with a nice bright smile.
I was expecting more.
That's all I got.
Well, I will have to take your word for it then. As at least a gracious host, we don't have to worry about being taken out back and executed at the end of this.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but, it's unlikely since we shut down the flower.
And they invited me. I will have to pry for information on that as well.
Well, they know things.
Overhearing Solomon mention the invitation, Danina's been re-French braiding her hair very deftly, because this is pretend, and I can pretend I can do that. Re-French braids her hair, and is like, I'm curious, Solomon, of the nature of that invitation. Were there any details?
Well, all things considered, it wasn't exactly an invitation, it was more a warning as to what happened up above. And so I can only assume that we will find out the context of that once we are through the doors.
Might be wise to decide how much you want to talk about that now, before we go in there. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but that seems confusing.
All things considered, I have no clue why she would want me, of all people, to warn about the situation. Why Lottie not received one, once I received one.
I would like to point out that it's generally wise that when you're down here, assume that you're always being listened to. Because you probably are.
Seems consistent. If I am welcome by the monarch, or if she had reason to send me this letter, I have no qualms with anyone, and he gestures widely around him, listening in. Alas, I will take your words to heart.
Yeah, I just, it's probably a good idea.
So, are we ready then?
Physically, yes. Emotionally, far from such.
That's about as honest as you can get. Okay, let's go.
All right. William will walk up to the door and knock very politely.
And as you knock on the door, you hear the whirling and clicking and, unlocking of at least 10 or 15 different mechanisms on the other side of this door. And instead of swinging open, they actually slide open, not unlike an elevator. And from where you are, it looks like you are in some type of subterranean greenhouse. There are just beautiful plants and flowers in front of you, not unlike a butterfly garden, and a clear path, between these lush flower bearing plants and so on, towards a centered dais that is currently still obscured by plants. And if you enter, as you all enter through this door into this underground garden of mystery, the door slides shut behind you. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session so that we can start at the top next time. So yay! I can actually see everyone's expressions in real time in Zoom. So
I can guarantee you we all look pretty happy.
Yup.
Very much so, yes.
Wonderful. So we're going to close this out in typical Clockwork Vines pattern, in tradition, where I go to each person, ask them to give me their character's inner monologue at this moment, and then tell everyone who you are, what you do, and where you can find you online, and we'll move to the next person. So we will start, since we started with the doctor last time, we're going to start back at the top from what I can see, and start with Solomon.
All right. Inner monologue first, or at the
inner monologue.
So as the doors close behind them, Solomon is thinking inside of his mind as his skin goes paler than it already is. I have a very sinking suspicion that whatever happens next leads to a lot more of the story. It will be invited into the dinner of the monarch. An insect whose flavor alone is known as poisonous to the birds that try to eat them. Leaves a bad omen in my mind. And as for me, I am Vey_D&D on Twitter. I am a zoologist by work and a VA by hire. If you look on my Twitter page in the next couple of days, I am working on condensing and processing videos of me doing a free dive with a few sharks I just did last week. There is a wonderful bit of video there, a few great whites and everything else, and I am super excited to be able to post it on Twitter. Outside of that, of course, as always, thank you for everyone in chat who was watching.
Alrighty then. That is amazing. We'll move to Genevieve.
So Genevieve is looking at this beautiful architecture and is just, again, muttering poetry under her breath, saying, "Who twining leaves with such proportion drew, they rose by measure, and by rule they grew. No mortal tongue can half the beauty tell, for none but hands divine could work so well." And she is positive that she has entered some sort of fairyland, but still confused what Queen Victoria has to do with fairies. And I'm Jess. You can find me on Twitter at Miss_Just03. And I, most importantly, right now, I have a book that I produced, called The Book of Season Solstices. It's up for an Emmy, which is kind of like the tabletop RPG Oscars. So there's a lot of cool stuff that is up for awards. And also, this is the first time that you can vote for a whole slate of judges and not once vote for like a straight white dude. So go out there, vote for the Ennies. I just put the thing in chat, and there's a lot of really cool stuff. So please take a look, learn some new products, find a cool thing, find a lot of cool things. And thank you.
Alrighty then. And so, my Zoom is really hating me right now. We'll move to Danina.
Righty. Well, inner monologue wise, she's looking around this subterranean butterfly garden, having walked through what was already one of the most outrageously cool underground things she'd ever dreamt of. that only got cooler as she progressed. And now she's in a garden, which evidences, one, that whoever runs it has a deep understanding of what things need to live and what will prevent them from living. And this person also has a massive well of resources to have an underground garden that functions like this. She's also been paying a little bit more attention to her compatriots and listening to Genevieve's poetry, watching Solomon and Charles get thrashed about a bit, seeing the doctor carry on as though nothing was going to deter him from his task. But seeing Lottie nervous is a first for her, and that's unnerving in a way she's not used to. For my own self, I'm Margaret Maynard on Twitter and also here. I've been working on some writing projects, and honestly, I am just psyched to be able to join in on streams like this one because they're always so much fun, and y'all make it so fun to play. So thank you.
All right, and now we will go to Lottie.
Eris, they're saying they can't hear you.
I've been muted this whole time. That's
I was gonna say,
great.
we can hear you.
Oh man, that was a really good inner monologue.
It was.
Too.
It was such a beautiful inner monologue.
Should I do it again? It was so good, and I switched from Lottie to Eris really well.
Yes, you did. That was just amazing.
Oh gosh. Well, honey, do you want me to do it again?
Sure, and action.
Oh well, hold on. Oh well, it was. That was a really good inner monologue, and I'm really not sure if I can recreate it, but I'm gonna try now here. This is Lottie's voice, okay. Oh, right. So, I really try to escape notice when I can. Kind of, flying under the notice of most people throughout my life. But, now I had to bring all my various employers into the place that I've kept secret for most of my life. And, now the monarch is actually interested in me, and that was another person I was trying to go unnoticed by. But, here we are, and yay. And I'm Eris Savad. And you can find me hanging out with No Medic on his channel most Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, whenever the fuck we want, at about 9-ish a.m. Eastern time. We just got a new logo today, and that was awesome. On Wednesday, you're going to be able to hang out with us and Michael Kritz who is a super cool dude doing awesome stuff. And he is just super awesome person. We get to hang out with him on Wednesday morning. So come join us. And I make stuff. Just go to my Twitter. It's fine. Anyways, go ahead.
Alrighty then. And we will move to Charles.
As Charles goes into this garden, reflecting on everything that's transpired so far, the flower market, the underground civilization, apparently that is just beneath the street that he lives on, Alstromeria Alley, is just I don't understand. Oh dear. I am in so far over my head right now. I wanted a quiet shop where I could make things and sell them and live comfortably. I didn't ask for any of this. But here I am. So that's so just a lot of internal screaming going on. But as for the mind and voice behind Charles, I am Chase. You can find me at DM Draculai on Twitter, or you can find me on the Podbean app, Direct Quotes from the Gods. It is a narrative-style mythology podcast told in 10, 15-minute segments, so little bite-sized stories for you. You can follow that official Twitter at Direct Gods. That's all I got.
Alrighty then. And now we will go to last but not least, the good Dr. William.
So, William is looking around at all of this and everyone, and he just really all he thinks to himself is, this is all very impressive. They're working very hard to impress us. And he sort of looks over at Lottie, and she seems very nervous. Well, nothing for it then. Hope this goes better than the last time I met a monarch. And I have been and continue to be Brent, otherwise known as Dork Lord Canada on Twitter and elsewhere. You can find me here every Monday. You can also find me on my website, renaissancegamer.ca, where I write and chat about tabletop gaming and other things. And you can find me in various publications around the internet. I'm a freelance tabletop games editor with competitive rates. So you can you can check that stuff out on my website as well.
Alrighty then. This is a wonderful group of people, just like the other group on Sunday. This has been Clockwork Vines. I'm Honey, aka Honey and Dice. You can find me on Twitter at Honey and Dice. You can also find me on Instagram at Honey and Dice, but there's nothing there. I just didn't want anybody else to take the name. I run games, play games, and enjoy using the gaming platform as a way to give back to my community and bring awareness to some pretty important causes. But outside of that, I'm just everybody's biggest cheerleader, and I'm so very honored and thankful for every one of the players that are sitting here and every one of the viewers, whether they're watching it live or video on demand. Thank you for joining us, watching this magical mystery world come together, and I hope to see you all next week, and that's all from me. So remember to love you, and that I love you. That's all my players and everyone who is watching.
Okay, we're loading up a raid to open for adventure, so stick around. I think they have a few more minutes left in their fun, so go say hi and drop some love. And we'll see you next week. Bye.